Hola guys, Deja Perez coming back to you live with another edition of What's Poppin' the podcast. I'm so excited to talk to this lady today. I'd like to introduce you to Miss Nathalie Nicole. Welcome.
Hey Deja, how are you?
I am well. I'm so excited to have you here. So in the spirit of transparency, I literally hit her up on IG and was like, hey, I think you're dope. Can you come on the show? Thanks. And here she is. All right, so tell everyone about you.
Well, I'm a woman that decided to go for it. My name is Nathalie Nicole, and I'm just excited to be here. One, because I remember back in 2014, maybe 15, I was given the 30 under 30 award.
Yes.
Just to see things full circle, to see that I'm in a totally different career path right now. God is super awesome. I'm on a mission to help women all across the world transform their brands, their bodies, and their bank accounts.
Yes.
I do that for a living.
Okay.
I love it. I enjoy it. And I just love seeing women evolve.
So how did this come about? Because it seems like you walk in your purpose, and some of us are still trying to get there. So how did we get to this place?
Ooh, it's interesting. So, I went to Howard University. I love Howard, great school. But I graduated with $150,000 in student loans, right?
That's a lot.
So can you imagine graduating from college, aesthetically, you look nice, right? You feel good. You
graduate. You actually made it through.
You made it through a little 5 years, but I didn't. And then you get a phone call. Sally Mae's like, "Hey,
at Sally Mae,
sis said, you have to pay $1,250 a month." I was like, "Well, where's the $1,250
That's a mortgage or rent."
It was, right?
Wow.
So I had to make a definitive decision at that moment and say, "What am I going to do with my life?" At the time, I had a top secret clearance from DOD and Department of State, and I either was going to go get a government job, right?
Which is safe. Or in theory,
listen, now, we already know what we're dealing with
right
now,
right. Back then it was safe, yes.
Right. And go to like a trade school, figure something else out.
Now, what was your major?
Public relations and business.
Okay.
Right. And I just made a decision. I said, you know what? I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I went and enrolled in Nevada. And then a year after I enrolled, I opened up my first salon at 22.
Wow. So you just got yourself some more debt, did you?
I got more debt, but I was free.
Okay.
I grinded hard. I worked hard. So back to answer your question, I did it for me. I was the first. The whole movement is Woman Who Boss, and I was the first woman who needed to boss.
Wow.
A lot of times people look at boss as someone in an authoritative figure or a positional leadership role, but I believe that bosses take ownership of their life. They say, hey, you know what, this is not who I am, but I know whose I am, and I'm going to create the woman I want to become, right?
Wow, that's
so
awesome.
I just looked at myself and I said, I got to figure this out, Nathalie, and I had to become fearless. So the reason
that's the hard part.
That's why I do what I do. I had to figure me out first, and then once I figured me out, I said, ooh, everybody I come in contact with, there's something about them that reminds me of my DNA, and I need to help them. So that's when my purpose, was ignited.
That is dope. So there's so much we need to talk about. But step one, how did you confront your fears? How did you look yourself in the mirror and start dealing with that?
There's a few things. And,
okay.
I like to laugh at myself a lot now. At the time, it wasn't funny.
Okay.
Right? You download your bank app. I tell people, download your bank app. And, sit in your chair, get comfortable after you have your meditation in the morning, your miracle morning, prayer with God, all those different things, and look at your bank account. I think a lot of time people don't face their reality, right?
Okay.
So they live in this space where, because on social media, you can be whoever you want to become, right? But if you're facing your reality, that usually should motivate you, right?
Okay.
So when I faced my reality that my credit score when I graduated was shot, I faced my reality that I was grinding to pay my bills, and I said,
because you're not even living.
I wasn't living, right? So the biggest fear I had was being average. That sounds cliche.
No.
But I told myself, a lot of people in my family work really hard, really, really hard. My mom is Trinidadian, and she came over here with the hopes of America being great, right? And then my dad, he's American, and he sacrificed a lot for me. And I said, you know what? I'm not my circumstance, and I'm not whatever number this is saying, and whatever I work for is going to pay off. So that's really where the fear broke loose, right then and there.
Whew. Okay. So I think a lot of times people look at your glow up and they're like, oh, she got it. It's easy. She could do it. I could do it. Now, there was clearly a progression from you facing your fears to becoming the amazing, phenomenal woman that you are now. So what are kind of some of the hurdles that you encountered across the way that could have deterred some people?
Ooh, a few things, right? One, identity. I believe that I was sharing earlier that women are so awesome to me. They're amazing human spirit beings, right? And we evolve in so many different ways. And when we look in the mirror, we see this person. When we see these photos, we might see somebody else, right?
Right.
But the biggest thing is how do you feel inside, right? So the biggest thing was identity and understanding that it's okay. It's okay to grow, Natalie. It's okay not to be on Beyonce's level. It's okay not to be on Oprah's level. You get what I'm saying? Yeah, right? And that's where it is. It's all about, first understanding who you are and identity. The second thing was confidence, I like to say Godfidence, I knew that I was nothing without God, and I knew that I had to be confident in anything I did.
Okay.
That was really, really important to me, like during the glow up. When I opened up my first salon, people always want to remind you of who you were. They want to remind you like, oh, you used to do bottle service or you used to work in this club or do this. I'm like, hey, I was in college. I was figuring
trying
it
to pay
out.
a bill.
And even after college, I still was trying to figure it out, right? And when the whole like identifying who I am, and who I wanted to become was really, really important. That gave me the confidence, because anytime somebody would try to bring me down or negative energy will come, I was like, I know who I am and I know my focus. And I remember always, saying affirmations over and over and over again to myself. I am above and not beneath. I am the lender, not the borrower. I am confident.
Wow.
I'm loved by God. I will say these things to myself all the time just so I can be able to stay in a certain space.
Okay.
Because this is the thing, the enemy knows how to get us, right? And he knows that when there is a moment where you are feeling fearless or fearful, when there's a moment where you're feeling like not enough,
That's when they post.
that's where it's at. So there were several times in my journey where I was, I would think to myself, well, I need more customers, or social media just came out, Instagram just came out, and I was like, well, all these people have followers, like I'm late. Why was I, when Instagram first came out, I didn't get on there like that. When Twitter was out, I didn't really get on there like that. Snapchat, same thing. I will always kind of wait a little bit because I was doing a lot of grassroots marketing, a lot of hands-on marketing, and that worked for me because behind closed doors, it was paying my bills,
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
that whole thing of like, releasing fear and being okay with letting people in and being a little vulnerable, I believe that closed mouths don't get fed.
True.
A lot of my mentors in my life right now is because I asked them to be my mentor. I needed to glow up for real. I saw their glow up and I said, hey, I need some help.
Right. Help me get there.
Exactly.
Wow. Okay. So if someone, you obviously have these programs, or not programs, but like, I don't want to call them a session, but people come to see you and be blessed by all that you have to offer.
Right.
What can someone expect from an event from you?
Yeah, so that's a funny question, right? So have you ever been to like a women's empowerment event and then like you're fed, everyone's high off of life, they're excited, then they go home and probably within like 48 hours, they're back in the same
Regular
space.
degular, yep.
Regular degular schmegular. Okay. You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
So
Because I've been there.
Right. So my events are totally different. I'm going to be doing way more than DMV now. But my events are going to give you fulfillment. It's going to help you identify what you want to do. I help women figure out, who are you? Like, that's your brand. You are your brand, right? So when someone looks at you, like, what do you want them to see, right? They're going to get that from my event.
Okay.
The second thing, they're going to feel empowered. They're going to feel very empowered, very fearless. They're going to come to grips with their reality, right?
Okay.
I go deep at my events as well. Not too deep, but deep enough where you're like, okay, she's real, right? I tell you my stories. I'm going to inspire you with who I am. I'm very authentic. I do not cut corners. I'm going to tell you what it is and what I did to get over that hump.
Okay.
Then I'm going to give you a vehicle. We have several vehicles that are real. The everyday average woman that works with me is making about $1,000 to $5,000 extra a month, extra a month. So
wow.
My goal is to help you pay your cell phone bill. My goal is, there's different levels to confidence and to like belief, right? So they're going to come to my event. They're going to understand that, hey, I can pay my cell phone bill if I work. I can pay my car note if I work a little bit harder. I can pay my rent or my mortgage, or I can go on the trip. So my goal is to help women turn their dreams to reality.
Okay.
Before you turn your dreams into reality, let's face the reality of you have to get yourself together. So that's what we do at the event.
So there are a lot of women that are single moms. They are working 2 jobs. They're juggling, and they kind of feel like they don't have 30 extra minutes in the day to give to themselves or to anything else, what kind of advice would you give to someone like that?
You have to evaluate, right? So, Warren Buffett can read hours and hours of books a day. If Oprah Winfrey can do personal development, she's very intentional. She speaks about that before she goes in the situation. She takes time to think about things. You got to think about your life, right? We have a start date and we have an end date, right? So while you're here on this amazing earth, what are you going to do with your time? So I always say, time is money, but honestly, you have to really understand that money is going to come with time when you spend it wisely, right? So for me, I used to move to the point where I was just exhausted and tired, right? And I said, this is not life. So there's a book called The Miracle Morning by Hal Elroy that teaches you how to make the best of your morning. A lot of times we get up from bed and we jump on social media, or we jump on the phone, or we jump on text messages. We jump and do all these different things.
Into life.
But we have not taken the moment to understand and analyze our day, or to even understand what we want for our day. So when I wake up in the morning, I already say I have enough time today to do everything on my to-do list, right? Okay. I used to always say that there's not enough time in the day. There is enough time in the day. You spend 1 hour of your day on something you love. That's 4% of your day. Right. So it took me to really go deeper and say, Nathalie, you need to figure out time to work out. Your health is your wealth. If you are unhealthy, how are you going to serve the people? So I took time to work out now, right? 30 minutes to 45 minutes max. I'm going to go on the treadmill. I take time with God every single day. Okay. I take time for just a woosah moment. Just like I want to sit down and just like do nothing for at least 30 minutes. I want to sit there and just really, I usually use that time to read a book, write my affirmations down, journal my day, that sort of thing. And I used to think I had no time for that. And now look at me with all this time.
Full of time.
Right. And then another thing you got to do with your time is you have to evaluate what's going on in your life, right? You got to evaluate your friends. You got to evaluate what you're spending your time on. You got to evaluate who is adding value and who is, diminishing your value, right? That one changed the game for me because now I realize that I don't have to answer the phone for everybody. I don't have to text message everybody. I don't have to be here. Someone says, Nathalie, I want to see you. Let's go to Starbucks. Let's jump on the phone call. You get what I'm saying? Starbucks can last an hour and a half. A phone call can last 15 minutes. So just reanalyzing my day, I do that very often.
Okay. And so what kind of motivation, once you've worked past reevaluating your day, I imagine, change is hard for a lot of people.
It is.
So there are probably people that come in like, yes, I'm gung-ho. I want to do it Nathalie's way. Yes.
Right.
And then they hit a roadblock and then they get derailed. What kind of advice would you give to someone like that?
You know what? This is the thing, right? Going back to that evaluation of the people around you, right? You have your helpmates, you have your hurtmates. Right? You have people that are going to help you in life, and people that are going to hurt you in life, right? Okay. And they might hurt you now, they might hurt you later, but you determine what is it going to be by the interactions, right? So I realized that I deserve to be happy, I deserve to be joyful, I deserve to be prosperous, I deserve to be peaceful. And I used to think it was weird being happy a lot. I used to think like, why are you so motivated, girl? Like, why? Like people will tell me like, you're always happy, and I'm like, I created this girl. It took a long time. I remember there was times where I was hurt a lot. I was very emotional. Everything triggered me like really quick at one season of my life. But I realized that trigger was messing up my day. Right. So when I felt like I didn't get anything done because I was going back and forth in the text message or on the phone, I said, ooh, this doesn't feel good.
That has to stop.
So that was one thing I did. The second thing is I go on these little fasts, right? I love a good Beyonce, a good Cardi. They're awesome to me, right? They go hard, they grind, all those different things. But I have to be filled up. I always tell myself my cup runneth over, right? Every day, because I remember feeling drained. My cup was done, and I have to fill myself up. YouTube is my friend. There's a thing called YouTube Red where you can like actually play YouTube and like go on another, app or whatever and it'll still play, right? So I use YouTube a lot. Anything I'm going through, I usually put that subject in, and then it might be something great I'm going through. It might be say how to deal with anxiety. It might be like how to deal with happiness or how to lead better. You know, everything is on YouTube. It's so cool on there, right?
It really is.
I love YouTube, and you know, I find that a lot of information is on Google. I always used to say that between Google and God, you can figure it out.
Everything
right?
out.
So that's the one thing I do. I look at about like 10 YouTube videos a day. Right?
Wow. Okay.
My dad sends me a lot of YouTube videos. He's in Miami. Yeah. He's like, check this out. You know, and you know, he's awesome. So he sends me a lot of cool stuff. Another thing I do, you have to find something that makes you happy. What makes you feel good? That keeps you motivated. I'm still in the stage. I'm 31 now. I started business. I started selling hair when I was 19 on campus.
Wow.
Yeah. So before I started,
you've always kind of had the entrepreneur spirit.
I did.
Okay.
Yeah. I always had something going on. I did makeup, hair, sold hair. But before I opened up my first store, there was something I did that was really, really, really important. I dream big, you know. I stay motivated by dreaming big. We all have phones now, right? So go on Google, put like 10 dream photos out, like a vision board, right? What car do you want? Like, do you want to fly around private? You know, what islands do you want to go to? Forget the money, like no money attached, right? Do you want to see your family on a cruise? You know, I take photos of that and I put in the album, and that's like my vision board. So sometimes I just like go through and I'm like, oh, this is dope. Like, okay, get up, you know, get yourself together.
It's like motivation.
Yes. Yeah.
That's really dope. So, you know, sometimes it can be fearful for somebody who, like, I've got a 9 to 5, you know, I'm hustling, I'm trying to, you know, make ends meet,
right?
And okay, I want to try it your way, but is it something that obviously works in conjunction? Like, so I kind of want to be an entrepreneur, but I also want to kind of make sure my rent is paid every 2 weeks,
right?
So is there a balance with that people can do with you?
Oh my gosh, I tell people, keep their job.
Okay,
please keep your job. You know, I believe success is transferable. Like, if I can do it all over again, Deja, I would have gotten a job. You know, a job would have taught me discipline. It would have taught me consistency. It would have taught me some things that I learned along the way.
Later.
I learned later, right? These principles that successful people do now, right? So when someone has a job, I always say this, you know, JOB to me is just over broke. Honestly, we spend a lot of time at our job.
Yikes.
But guess
That's
what?
real.
But I think there's a purpose for everybody at their job too, though. There's a season for everything. Sometimes people want to be an entrepreneur, but they don't know what it takes to become an entrepreneur.
Correct.
So I always say this, you know, work your job full time, do entrepreneurship part time. Find something you enjoy. Just because you want to start a boutique or you want to start some PR firm or something like that, do it part time, right? The second thing I always say is match your income. Your entrepreneurship gig or whatever you're doing, match your income. Match it for about 6 months.
Okay.
Consistently. Save your money.
Okay.
As well. You know, I always say, like, at least save about 5 to 6 months of expenses.
Okay.
Right?
That's pretty hard. Pretty lofty. Okay.
It is because, again, my target demographic is women. The average woman in America has only $1,000 or less in her savings account. Yikes. You get what I'm saying?
Yikes.
That's real. Like, times are hard out here, right? So I tell people all the time, entrepreneurship is hard, but life has been hard for us too before, and we got over that, right? So in entrepreneurship, you figure out what you want to do, and guess what? You stick and move. When it doesn't work, you get out of it. Right. So a lot of times people start.
And you're not that invested because your whole life isn't riding on that.
Because it's part time.
Got
so
it.
That's what I would do for somebody.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So how can people, because I'm going to talk to you all night, but
right.
How can people get information on everything that you have going on?
Yeah. So my website is Nat Nicole Smith, NatNicoleSmith.com. It has everything on there. My Instagram, my Instagram is Nathalie Nicole, NATHALIE, Nicole, NICOLE. And everything is on there, from my nonprofit Women Who Boss Network, that's the movement I have, and from my branding services, from my books, everything is on my website.
Perfect.
Even to get in touch with me if you want me to do an event with you, I'm definitely reachable.
And also, like, because you know, there are people in Florida, like you're going to Orlando this weekend, right? So there are people all over the place. You have a lot of virtual clients, I assume.
I do.
And so do you check in with them like monthly, weekly? It depends on the...
my tribe is pretty heavy. I was just on the phone with somebody just now from Barbados.
Okay.
So, you know, there's so many great tools like GroupMe is awesome, Facebook is awesome, WhatsApp is awesome. So I have several groups that is being ran. I have some support, of course, in all of my groups. So I'm very high touch with my people.
Good.
I have a new person that came in from Nigeria today.
Wow,
you know,
that's awesome.
so I have a huge U.S. team. You know, let me tell you something funny. I started in the DMV market. I'm just now relaunching my movement in the DMV because sometimes you have to go off and do something and come back, right? So majority of I have over 8,000 members.
Oh, that's impressive.
Yeah, thank you. So majority of my network that is in my movement, Women Who Boss, that are distributors and ambassadors, they're all over the world.
That is
probably
amazing.
10% is in the DMV.
Well, we're gonna grow that number.
We're gonna grow that.
All right. So thank you so much for joining. I'm gonna keep you after because I want to talk your ear off. But thank you guys for joining us for another edition of What's Poppin' the podcast on 93.9 WKYS.